What's going on YouTube? It's been a while since my last video, and that is because I was extremely busy with my full-time job, trying to fix issues with my quiz app, and preparing for my second attempt at my mock interview. I'll make a promise right now, I will try my best to do a better job of posting these updates on a more frequent basis. Now on to the show. So let's discuss the review on my quiz app and my mock interview. My first submission of my quiz app did not receive a passing score. To elaborate on the score, Thinkful gives us students a rubric that explains how the app will be graded. The rubric covers user flow, design, accessibility, rendering a form, and JavaScript architecture. The scores for each element are rated between a 1 and 5, and we cannot receive a 1 on any aspect of the quiz. Basically, a 1 is an automatic failure. My app received good scores on each aspect except for design, where I received a 1, so I failed. There was some feedback about how to improve the JavaScript architecture and how to restart the quiz once the quiz was completed. I focused on correcting the design since it was the element that scored a 1. I didn't concern myself with the other issues that the reviewer recommended. I corrected the design, which was changing the opacity of my background image to better the visibility of the words on the web page. I submitted the quiz app again, thinking that it will pass, and it did not. Second time around, I received good scores on all aspects except for JavaScript architecture. Just to point out, the JavaScript architecture that failed the second time around, the reviewer actually left comments saying that it could have been better, but I just didn't change them because I received a 4 on it, so why change it if it wasn't a failing score? On the second attempt, I got a score of 1 on the JavaScript architecture. That score was to address what the evaluator deems to be a better way to write a particular section of my app. The app is a multiple choice quiz, and in my JavaScript file, I have HTML elements that display the question and input elements to display all 4 answers. My reviewer stated that I could write the question and the 4 answers in a loop. And let me show you what I'm talking about. Here's the code to display the questions, and these are to display all 4 answers. My reviewer is saying that these 4 answers here can be written in a loop, where I don't have to write out a line of code for each individual answer. This is something that I am currently struggling with, and this is where I stand today. On to the mock interview. The mock interview was also an experience. Keep in mind that I am completely new to programming and all that goes into preparing for an online interview. The interview is essentially no different than all of the communication that I've had experience through the program thus far. Mentor meetings, Q&A sessions, meetings with my program manager have all been held in the same format as the interview was conducted in. During the course, there's a flyer that the students have to review. The flyer is a job posting from a made-up company called Taco Queen. All the required skills, experience, and responsibilities they're looking for from programmers or web developers. I reviewed the posting to get an idea of what the company will be looking for and reviewed the questions the program provided as a study guide for the interview. During the interview, I was asked a few questions from the list of questions that they provided and different questions that touch on similar topics. I say that to point out that the interview is not scripted, and the interviewer has some leeway in what he or she may ask during the interview. My interviewer did not ask me anything that was not covered in the course. My issues in the interview was the live coding challenges. Not all of the challenges were difficult, but I did learn something about my weaknesses. I struggled with the syntax during the challenges in JavaScript and jQuery. I must point out that during my interview, I was unable to use any outside help, meaning Google Notes. There was not really much I could pull up on my computer. I asked about doing Google searches for help, but my interviewer said it would count against my score. I mentioned in a previous video, this course is filled with lots of reading and not a lot of doing and testing, and it showed up during my interview. To break down my interview scores, I did well with understanding the material, but struggled with applying the material that I learned. I did 2 interviews and pretty much got the same scores for each interview. The second interview was different than the first in regard to the JavaScript and jQuery challenges, meaning that the live coding challenges were different types of JavaScript problems and jQuery issues. I had a meeting with my program manager about where I am in the course and what steps I have to do to move forward. The first thing is fixing my app. I am not done on working with my app. Regardless of what happens in the course, I would like to be able to know that I developed, built, created this app to work in a way that is correctly functional. Not just a whole lot of spaghetti code and, oh, well, it works, so if it could be done better, I want to be able to say that I did it better. I am still in the process of using my mentor and Q&A sessions to resolve the issues pointed out by my reviewer, and still have been unable to solve the issue with my quiz app. So the issues that I'm working on with my quiz are restarting the quiz and the looping of the question. The next step is getting a better understanding of the JavaScript and jQuery syntax and applying it to solve issues. So 2 programs that I'm currently exploring is Treehouse.com and the Odin Project. The Odin Project was referred to me by my program manager and is a similar course to the Thinkful's course, but this is actually geared to beginner programmers. I mentioned in a previous video that Thinkful's full-time flex program is not designed for beginners, but a beginner can get through the course. Everyone learns differently. The Odin Project offers a web development 101 course, Ruby programming course, and several other courses that are geared to preparing a beginner for more advanced courses. Consider it like a SAT prep course. My program manager states that these courses give students plenty of practice with understanding and applying JavaScript and jQuery syntax. That is yet to be seen, and I will let you know how that course is going. I did sign up, and I am starting the Web Development 101 course. I will let you know how that goes as time progresses. I did not quit the full-time flex program, but I am on course to taking a month or 2 break to better get my understanding of the JavaScript and jQuery syntax up to par. Team Treehouse. If you haven't heard of this program, is another online course aimed at teaching several languages, but the website is not free and it is taught in a completely different manner than Thinkful. I signed up for Team Treehouse a few weeks ago when I heard about it, and I was struggling with my interviews and my JavaScript and jQuery courses. And while using this program for the past 2 weeks, I used it to focus on JavaScript and jQuery to help with my quiz. I am currently using the $25 a month option, and as long as I put in the time with the tracks, the courses are called tracks, it is worth the money. In my next video, I will discuss more about the Odin Project and if I got to advance to the next section of the full-time flex course with Thinkful, which is the command line, Git, and GitHub basics. I will say this, one of the first courses of the Odin Project is the command line interface. So from here, I will decide if I will press pause on a course or if I would decide to press through the Thinkful course, the full-time flex course. But in order for me to advance, I do have to get my quiz app fixed, completed, and I have to pass the interview. I will be allowed to submit the quiz app again and redo the interview, but that is something I have to discuss with my program manager. So as of right now, that's where I stand, and that's where I am in the program. So if you have any questions about what I covered in this video, you are more than welcome to leave a comment down below. If you find this video interesting, please hit that like button, and if you're feeling generous, you can also hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.